Hey, what is up, film crew and fellow cinephiles? What is up? This is Feezys Media, and I'm Jay Feezy. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, first, I just want to thank you for coming by and seeing what this is all about. It's giving me a chance and opportunity to see what I have to offer, right? Because I know obviously my channel's not that big, not yet, anyways. But I do appreciate your time and the interest. But this is that one movie. For those of you that aren't aware, this is a video series slash live stream where I pick a particular movie and I discuss, go in depth. Usually it's been half or first part of the stream will be non-spoiler discussion. The later half will be spoiler discussion. And I'll have a guest with me here or two. Sometimes I may in the future go on my own, but with me, joining me for this one in particular, I have Alex Montano. Alex, how you doing, good sir?
Good. Thank you for having me, my friend. Good to be back. Good to be back. Last time we talked movies was The Exorcist, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. I can't remember which episode that was. I mean, this is only the fourth episode, named that one movie, episode 4. So yeah, I think it might have been the first. And that was, what, a little over 3 hours, I think.
Yes.
Right, that we did that one. Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked that out, set aside 3 hours and go back and no, I'm just playing. There's you can obviously skip around, but yes, we both really enjoyed The Exorcist, and that was one of the ones that we wanted to discuss, and we're both horror fans. And so yeah, Alex says, he mentioned I've had him on the stream, the channel before, and he's joining me again, fellow cinephile, film lover, as well as I am. And that's how, obviously we met, but we met through collecting. Also, as you can't tell behind me, I know some of them kind of dark, but I have a bunch of collectibles, action figures, and this is all stemmed from our love of film, right? So kind of, if you're wondering why I have these toys, these dolls behind me, that's why. But yeah, Alex, thank you for joining. I appreciate you taking your time and setting some time aside to join me here and discuss this movie. So, all right. For those of you who haven't already noticed, this is Terrifier 3. We're going to be talking Terrifier 3. We'll give our overall impression. So like I mentioned, for the first half, we're going to do a non-spoiler discussion. I'm going to go over the background, do some trivia, kind of give our theater experiences, right? I'm sure you've all kind of heard or read about some interesting things happening during the screening of this movie or the filming of this movie. So I have a couple that I want to share. I haven't heard Alex's take yet, so this is going to be a first for me as well. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. So I'll do that, and then the later half, I'll give you all a warning. I'll let you know, hey, spoiler talk. We'll go into a little more in depth on the movie and some of the spoiler things that happened, and overall, just at the end we'll give our overall impressions and what we thought of the movie, maybe a rating / score or a recommendation. I'm not really sure how we're going to go about that yet. I know the previous that one movie episodes, they were all live, and this is pre-recorded, so this is going to be a first for me. So we'll see how this goes, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Give me some I'm always open to feedback. Just obviously keep it respectful and just let me know how to improve. I'm always wanting to improve, but yeah, I'm always open to feedback also as well. So yeah. All right. With that in mind, Alex, you got anything to add before we get started? Oh, how about we, for those, if this is your first time, for those that this is their first time kind of getting to know you, want to give a little background on you and your channel and what you're all about?
Oh, my channel, I'm an editor, but my channel is about movie reviews and TV shows, and I'm going to start doing also video game reviews. Everything is in Spanish, but you can activate captions in English, so enjoy it if English is not a language you know. So Spanish is not a language you know. Now, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So yeah, go and subscribe to my channel too.
Yeah, I'll put his links in the description as well after this. You can go check his stuff out and show him some love. If there's anything that you see that catches your eye or interested, obviously subscribe, go like his content, check out his Instagram, and like I said, those will be in the description down below. So check that out. All right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here. So let me start with some background here. I mentioned we're going to have some background on this, and then there'll be timestamps also. I'll put in timestamps in the description below, so if you want to jump around later, for those of you catching the replay, you can kind of jump around to certain aspects. So background. So yes, Terrifier franchise. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you watching this, I take it if you're watching this, you're already fans, but if you're just out of curiosity, this Terrifier franchise has grown a lot, right? It's gotten pretty big, and it's expanded out beyond the movies and into just pop culture zeitgeist in general. Right? It's kind of, I'm sure at some point you've seen either a picture or a video or something, some sort of icon or collectible or trinket or something resembling Art the Clown, who is the main, I guess, villain, the character, the star of the Terrifier franchise, right? So it's Art the Clown is his actual name. Well, the name of the character, I should say. And so, yeah, this is blown up. There's 3. This is going to be the 3rd film we're talking about today, or in this stream here, or this recording, I should say, this video. And it started with All Hallows Eve, right? That was the first film where he made an appearance, and that was more of like an anthology movie, kind of similar like to Trick or Treat, or was it Creep Show? If you remember Creep Show from back in, I believe it was in the 80s. I have yet to see it myself. I know, fake fan, right? That's one I need to go back and watch. All Hallows Eve, I should say. But yeah, Art the Clown made his appearance there, and it was a different actor. And yeah, that's kind of one. That story is kind of still a mystery to me on how that came to be and what the switch was all about. But Alex, do you have anything to kind of mention that, or did you watch All Hallows Eve?
I did watch it. I don't remember much of it, if I'm honest with you, okay. But I do remember the 1 and 2. I do remember those.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, in case you were interested, yeah, Art the Clown first appearance was in that anthology film All Hallows Eve. So check that out if you're interested. But as far as the Terrifier franchise itself, so it started with Terrifier 1, obviously. So that was released, first premiered at a festival in 2016, and I forget the name of the festival, but 2016 was its first screening, and then it was open to a limited theatrical release and disc release the same year in 2018. They actually ended up re-releasing it in theaters, in more theaters in 2023, but yeah, limited theatrical release in 2018. So worldwide earnings for this movie, $419,000. Domestic $340,000 and international $79,000. You might think that that's not really that high, but considering the budget, which was estimated to be about $40,000, I think they would call that a success, right? It's not obviously compared to you know, the blockbuster movies, right, Alex? But
but that's a success.
Yeah, for sure. And so obviously with that, they they saw it as a success also, and so they, of course, went and they did Terrifier 2. So that was released in 2022. That was first screened, I should say, at Fright Fest in 2022, and then had a theatrical release in 2023. So last year, as of this recording. And that one, the earnings for that one worldwide, as of this recording, was about $15.7 million. Domestic is $10.9 million, and international $4.8 million. So now we went from the hundreds of thousands in earnings to the millions, the tens of millions here. Again, if you had to guess, Alex, what the budget for this was for Terrifier 2, or do you know?
I think it was like 1.5 million, I think.
Oh, no, it's much lower. So
really?
At least from what I've seen, yeah, you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here, but from what I've seen, this estimated budget for Terrifier 2 was $250,000.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, comparing to Terrifier 1's budget of $40,000, right? So that was just Terrifier 2, again at $250,000, and then earning tens of millions in the box office. So definitely another success, right? So they're still cruising.
200. I just checked. Yeah, $250,000.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's great.
$250,000, and their worldwide earnings, box office, $15.7 million. Yeah, that is very great. So now brings us to Terrifier 3, released this year, October, actually came out in October here in the States. It was screened earlier in the year at, again, one of the festivals, but theatrical release October 2024 here in the States. So as of this recording, worldwide box office numbers, $76.8 million, domestic $52.3 million, and international $24.5 million. It's on its opening weekend here in the States, it earned $19 million, so about $19 million. in its opening weekend. Again, budget. How about for this one, Alex? What do you think this budget was for Terrifier 3?
I think this one was 2.5 million. I think I
there
saw
you
it.
go. Yeah. I think that's what you were probably thinking earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Terrifier 3's budget. Yeah, about 2.5 million dollars, right? So again, Terrifier 1, budget 40,000. Terrifier 2, 250,000. Terrifier 3, a budget of about $2.5 million. And again, I would say this is another success worldwide, 76.8 million, to become the highest grossing unrated movie of all time. But prior to that, it's even beating some of the NC-17. I should say the highest grossing NC-17 movie of all time, which made 36 million, right? So that was the highest grossing NC-17 movie is $36 million, and the highest grossing international NC-17 movie was 67 million. And so
which one was it? What movie was it?
Oh, that's a good question. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't.
Okay.
I can't remember. Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably look it up while I'm discussing it. But yeah, Alex, what are your thoughts on that? Just obviously, we would say this. We obviously already agree this is both a success, but just, I mean, considering for one, that this movie was unrated here in the States, and it being the highest grossing unrated movie of all time, what do you think that does for just the industry in general?
I think it proves, even when horror has always been a genre, that you don't have to spend a lot of money to make money. Actually, when you think of horror movies that overspend their budget, normally they're not great successes. I think there are the big exceptions like The Conjuring and movies like that. But normally when you see a big budget horror film, it tends to fail because it has a lot of studio, what's the word? Interference. Yeah. So it's not good. But when you see this, for me, it's not only a great inspiration for filmmakers. It's a great inspiration to filmmakers to know that they don't need a lot of money to make a movie that's successful and that's gonna, start their careers. Because look at this, the director is a makeup artist, and he decided that he wanted to direct, and just look at this, he never, I'm sure he never thought that this was going to be the success that it currently is. And it's pretty cool because it's also you don't see practical effects like this anymore. You have the exceptions like David Cronenberg films or The Substance or stuff like that, but it's not common. And just thinking that, as any young filmmaker would think, knowing that they can aspire to make something like this, it's unreal. And I think it's also a kick in the ass to the studios. Just look at how much money you spent in your superhero crap movies, and look at this.
Look at this. Yep.
Yeah, it's a senseless movie, and it's great, and it's fun, and it makes more money than your. What was the last superhero movie I watched? I don't remember, but it was better than that.
Whatever it was better than that. Yeah. Some of those movies I actually do enjoy, but they haven't been really great, the superhero movies recently. I can't remember one off the top of my head, but and that's what I've been reading, to your point, is that this is definitely making an impact on the industry, and it's kind of making it's kind of standing out, right? It's kind of making a point. It's letting others know, hey, you don't, like you said, you don't need a lot of money, you don't need a big budget to be a success. You just have to basically have the love and the passion of your project, and that's what Damein Leone has poured into these movies, and it shows, right? It's usually, so I will say though, this is not all movies are like that, right? Not all independently funded or produced movies are successes. I'm sure we can probably create a list of a lot of movies that weren't successful, but all the ones that are, that they kind of have that, definitely have that underdog vibe to it, right? And you feel it how do I put this? It just it it just proves, it just makes it proves again to the industry that it is possible, right? And like you said, I'm just repeating myself here, but yeah, because I can't articulate it well, but yeah, it shows that it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, like when you put your story and what you want to show before like making money or all this ego and all that crap, like this is what you get. It's an honest movie. Like it's not trying to be anything but what it is.
Yeah, and I will say, for those that aren't aware, Damein Leone wrote and directed all three movies, and I believe he had more help on the third one here, but he did write and direct. And like Alex was saying, he did have he did some of the effects, the makeup and prosthetic effects himself. He does some of that, and a lot of this. So one of the trivia points that I ended up finding, this is from IMDb, that I found out, since we're on the topic of money and independence here. So it turns out that on the Terrifier 3, that Damein Leone did have interest from big studios. They were interested in financing the movie, but he ended up turning them down because he knew that, for one, just the opening scene alone, which we'll get into, like they weren't. He had a feeling that they weren't going to give him the creative freedom that he wanted to do this movie, right? He wanted to stick to what he wanted to do, and I ended up rooting for him because of that, right? And it makes it that much more of an impact as the franchise in general, just because he's showing that again, that he didn't need big studios to become involved in. He was like, you know what, I don't need your money, I can do this on my own. And he funded it with some of his own money, and I think that he had some others also,
investors.
But nothing from the big studios, so he can have that creative freedom to make this in his own vision. That's, I guess, that was what I was trying to say
he's George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola of horror.
Of the horror. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has me, if nothing alone, if not just for the movie itself and it being a horror, because again, we both like horror, enjoy horror films, but just the story behind that and the production, and just that coming up story, and again, showing the underdog, it just kind of adds to it. It just makes it that much more likable as a franchise because of that, because of the story behind it. Not only with the story in front of it, but the story behind it as well.
Yeah.
So Damein Leone wrote and direct all three, and so let me go ahead and touch on some more trivia aspects that I found here with Terrifier 3, which I found kind of interesting. So again, these are from IMDb. So the one distributor they had, or they found, Cineverse, and the only request that they had from Damein was that they keep the film under 2 hours. That was really difficult for Damein because he already had a script, and so he had to cut a lot of content out of the film, starting with the script. He had to cut some things out of the script because he was kind of going through and saying, okay, this is going to take too long to shoot or to film, so I need to cut this out. And so and you can kind of tell in the movie, again, we'll discuss this later, but you can kind of tell there seemed like there were some parts that were kind of missing, some things that were some gaps, right? Some holes in there in the story. But after reading this, okay, it made sense. And so he cut some scenes from the script. The ending was actually supposed to be much longer than it was, but that was cut down. And he did his best to keep it under 2 hours, but in the end, it ended up being 2 hours and 5 minutes. And so he still, as much as he could just get it under 2 hours. But now that, I don't know, what do you think? What are your thoughts on him having to cut that much down, and that request from the distributor to keep it under 2 hours?
It happens. I think it's a pretty reasonable request from a studio, because like any other big studio would be like, you need to cut all these scenes and cut the blood, and you need to make this friendly, and you need to have your lead character act this way, and you have to reshoot this and that. So I think like asking you to keep it under 2 hours is reasonable. It's also like, I think right now it's a very good time to have people sitting in the theater and enjoying the movie. Longer movies tend to make a lot of people skip the theater experience. Yeah. So I think it's also like a marketing strategy to make sure that people will go and watch it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, to touch on what you said, it is a balance, right? Because there's some movies that are a little too long, longer than they should be, and people start getting restless in the theater. And there are others that are just kind of too short, and you kind of feel like there's things missing, or they kind of rushed it. So there's definitely a good balance, but it always goes back to the writing, the script, right? If it's written well, sometimes you forget how long a movie is, because there's definitely been times where I've been sitting in the movie, I'm like, wow, it's already been 2.5, or it's been 3 hours, just because the movie's so good. And so that's obviously is a testament to how well it's written. That definitely helps in everything else, right? So with this though, I think it did feel like it was a little rushed. There were some things that were they could have addressed, or maybe they're saving it for a sequel. So we shall see.
I think like this is also a selling strategy from them, like marketing strategy, because just think about this. If they shot for a 2 hour and 45-minute movie and they have that cut, when it comes out on Blu-ray, they can release, I think they already announced the Blu-ray, but in a couple of months they can announce an extended cut and make more money out of it.
That's true. Yeah, if they filmed those scenes before, yeah, like I was mentioning from what I was reading, I think he cut some things out like from the script itself before they even filmed it. So, but if he did do that,
yeah, like normally when you shoot, like even when you're aiming for a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, like you normally have a 2 hour and 35 minutes long. So, and you cut everything, like you start cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. So I guess that he probably had some scenes, like I don't want to jump into that yet, but like for example, things with the brother, the kid, maybe they have stuff with that, and maybe they'll extend on that a little more. And it's a good strategy. Like if they don't know when the fourth one is going to come out, like that's something great to keep people interested in the franchise. Yeah.
No, for sure. Actually, that is true, because I did read obviously that he had to cut it down to 2 hours and 5 minutes as much he was trying. So yeah, you're right. And that is typical of movies, of production, right? They definitely want to film more than they need, so they can just cut down from there. And you as yourself as an editor know the value of that. So now I'm definitely curious to see, and kind of looking forward to getting that Blu-ray to see, or that 4K I should say, on disc, just in general, on disc, to see physical media forever, to see how that what those special features will be. And then I'm also curious what he actually cut out from the script before filming, to see what was in there. Maybe he might touch on that on Terrifier 4. So yeah, a lot of things to look forward to if you're a Terrifier fan, to see what's to come. Let's see here. So what else was I gonna touch on? Oh, so yeah, speaking of time and production time, and just the work that goes into this. So I mentioned Terrifier. So from Terrifier 1 to Terrifier 2, that was, 6 years. There was a 6-year gap in between there. And I mentioned the budget. So it's a low budget. And so a lot of the crew, the film crew and Damein's team, Mr. Leon, if you will, they had to play multiple roles, right? Because it was so low budget, a lot of people ended up having to do multiple roles. So that took them a while. And I think I was reading that it was an ambitious film, Terrifier 2, compared to the first one. And so there was a lot more work that was involved than they had initially thought. But yeah, it took them 6 years. So from Terrifier 1 to 2, that was 6 years. Terrifier 2 to 3, though. So he had, what's that?
It was 2 years from Terrifier 2 to 3?
It was actually 1 year writing. So from what I was reading, right, because it was theatrical release. Well, I guess, I did say the first screening was 2022, right? So I guess if you want to go from there, and then theatrical release is 2023. But the trivia, one of the other trivia items that I was reading that was that Damein Leon so he wrote and he completed production in 1 year. I guess that was the deadline. I don't know who set that deadline, but there was a deadline that he had to finish all of it in 1 year. And so he did all that in a single year. And I thought, again, that I don't know how accurate or true that is, but I got that, again, from IMDb. So,
like writing, production, and post-production in 1 year?
I guess, yeah. It says wrote and completed production in a single year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay. But again, compared to the previous Terrifier 2, which took 6 years, that's just crazy. I mean, he just kind of was determined and he was motivated and he wanted to get it done. But yeah, so hats off to Damein Leone and his team and everybody who just worked on this whole franchise. Just big respect to all of you for getting that done and having it be a success for all 3 films. And so yeah, that was really awesome. So props to Damein for knocking that out and completing it in a year. So yeah, really interesting and inspirational on that, right? I'm sure he just worked really hard and he was doing nothing but that for a while, for obviously within that year. So it's really awesome. Anything else you want to add to production or just how long it took to make these movies?
No. I think you covered
So yeah, Terrifier 3, he obviously had a bigger team, so bigger budget, again, around $2.5 million. So he had more staff on hand to help with the movie. And it is, if you haven't seen it already, it is a bigger movie. You can tell they just kind of one up themselves.
It looks better. Like it looks better than the first 2. Like the first 2 look super indie.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like it looks like they didn't have a lot of money for post-production, so the color grading is like this vintage filter on the screen, and it looks like a VHS at some moments.
Yeah, I actually like that. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I haven't read.
I think it was intentional.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it hides the imperfections.
Yeah.
And it works with the style of the movie. I don't mind it.
It definitely does.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But,
no, I didn't mind it at all. Actually, I probably would have preferred that just because it kind of has that B movie feel.
I think like even when you look at it happens, but you see I think the second one is in 185:1, the aspect ratio. That's like widescreen.
Okay.
And this one was anamorphic. Like this one was 235:1. So
yeah, I read that. Yeah.
You see that, and it's like this guy was like, okay, now I have money to shoot with anamorphic lenses, so let's do it. Like for me, it doesn't make sense personally because it's not a movie that requires those lenses. But I understand that the filmmaker is like, okay, now that I have the money, now I can try this little toys out. So it's funny to see how you start seeing like the money being spent in different areas. And on the first 2, it's like, okay, let's work with what we have.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. And it definitely is a bump up. You can kind of tell, like Alex was saying, when you're watching this third one, this third iteration here. So, all right, going on to theater experiences. So I know, again, I've touched on this. You guys, I'm sure you all watching have read that there's been some incidents during the filming, or sorry, the screening, the showing of this movie in theaters. Alex, I'll go ahead and start with you. Did you encounter anything? Was there anything, people leaving or sickness or anything or just anything kind of weird or interesting or unusual when you went to go see this movie?
I didn't see people leaving, but they were definitely disturbed through watching it.
Yeah.
I think that no one was expecting to see what they saw. And it was funny because I walked into the theater and there was like not many people, like 8 or 10. And they were young, like in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And I think that they were expecting just a regular slasher movie. Just like some blood, something, whatever. I remember like after the movie ended, those people were pale. Like, what's this?
Oh, really?
And I was laughing. Like I have a really twisted sense of humor, and art makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I was laughing, and I think they were like, "Oh, this guy is sick."
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There were some times where I was laughing too, just because I think it was meant to be, right? It was just funny.
When he's trying to pull the Santa Claus beard.
Yeah.
That face, he made like, this guy is funny. Like, it's like watching Chaplin.
Yeah.
In horror. Like I see it like that. And the actor is pretty good, and he has a lot of, I don't know, he has an incredible way of acting. Like it's fun. Like he's not talking and you enjoy him. Like not when he's killing, it's disturbing, but after the fact, like it's always like he always has some gag, something that makes the scene feel a lot smoother, and you forget what you just saw. I like it, but people were a bit disturbed. Yeah.
Yeah. So before I went in, I had read some of that stuff myself, and I didn't think I wasn't expecting something like that to happen. I just thought, okay, if it happens, it happens. We'll see. I was curious to see if it would, but I kind of wasn't. I wasn't expecting it, just because that kind of I don't really see it that often. But sure enough, yeah, I went to go see this movie, and right for the get go, this is how you can tell this is kind of becoming a phenomenon. This whole like Terrifier franchise. There was a guy in a full Art the Clown get up, like he had the makeup, the hat, the whole suit, and he even had the horn too. So he walked up in front of the theater, like in the main walkway in front of the in the seats, and he would go in front of everybody and kind of honked his horn, and he was kind of waving at people, and people were kind of clapping. And so at first I was a little worried. I'm like, oh, where's this going? And I don't know if it was a marketing thing. I don't know if the theater had like hired somebody to kind of have him go out and just kind of talk and do something, or not even talk, but just kind of like a promotional thing. But no, it was just a fan, a viewer who was just kind of dressed up, and so I thought that was pretty cool. And the person he was with, I don't know if it was his partner or a friend, but it was a female, and she was dressed up as the little pale girl from Terrifier 2, but she was obviously an adult. Yeah, yeah. So she was dressed up as she had the hair and the makeup like her and stuff, and so it was really cool. They kind of got into it, and that kind of I don't know. It kind of made it more of like an event, like people cosplaying as if you were to go out to a showing. And I forgot to mention this. I did go opening night, so it came out obviously on a Friday, and I saw it that night, and yeah, it was a cool experience. So there's that. There was also though a couple of kids who had went. I don't know their guardians, parents, or whoever, but had taken them. Yeah, there were some kids there. One of them had an Art the Clown, like the suit, the uniform. I don't think they don't think they had the makeup or anything like that, but they had the suit on, and I think they had the hat. And so I was kind of like, I don't know. That was interesting. So
those are very bad parents. Those are.
Yeah. I was trying not to judge. Like I'm not judging. I didn't question in my head, but I was like, you know what? Because there are kids in the film, so we'll kind of touch on that too. So I don't know. Like after watching it again, I saw it for the second time, and before this recording, and so I don't know. I guess we'll touch on that too. Don't let me forget. We'll come back to that. But yeah, I did see some kids in there, and then so we started watching the film. This was kind of all before the movie started, and then about 35 minutes into the movie. So I went with some friends. Hey, I see a lady get up and walk out. I'm thinking, okay, maybe she has to go to the restroom or something. So she leaves after that one scene. And I'll touch on this too. I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but yeah, she leaves during the scene, and then a few seconds after, the person she was with, there was a guy, a male. He gets up and he goes after her, and then they never come back. They never came back, and so I was like, wow, it actually happened. So that was interesting, right? So but yeah, it was just kind of funny. Me and my friends I were with, I'm like, hey, let's see, do you think they're coming back? And they never did. Yeah. So yeah, that was my experience. It was really cool. I kind of relate it to, again, going back because I enjoy some superhero movies also, and I go for big movies like that, or ones that are kind of really popular or a pop culture hit. I go opening night just because I enjoy watching these movies with the with other fans, right? The other film movie lovers and who make it an event. Right? It's just fun just to have that added reaction from the viewers. Just make it that much better of an experience. So I always enjoy it. So that kind of added to the overall experience for this movie, for Terrifier 3. All right, so those are experiences. Again, we're still in the non-spoiler discussion. This is going to be the last part of it, then we'll get to spoilers. But overall impressions, Alex, without getting to spoilers, what were your overall thoughts after watching this film? I think you said you saw it recently, right?
Yeah, I saw it. What day is it today? I saw it exactly this November 10 days 10th. Ago. I saw it 10 days ago. October, it was released here on Halloween night. I watched it the day after.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Perfect timing. So what are your overall thoughts on the movie, and what did you think of it and compared to the first two, and just overall?
I think it's the one that I liked the most. I know a lot of people
Okay.
prefer the second one, and but I don't know. Like I felt that Art the Clown really pops here. There are things that I don't like,
Hmm.
but it's the same. Like I don't want to get spoilers yet, but the same things that I don't like on this one are the same things that I didn't like on the second one. And it's the overdeveloping of the story of things that I really don't care much about. And for me, it's just like trying to create a lore that, at the end of the day, I don't think that's the reason why people go and watch these movies. But I really liked it. Like I laughed a lot, and it's weird to say in a movie like this, maybe, but I
Yeah.
had a great time. I had a
Yeah.
great time. I don't. I'm not a fan of Victoria.
Hmm.
That's some negative that I have to say. I prefer the little kid from the second one. I think that was a better sidekick. Like the Art the Clown short round. I like her more.
Oh yeah, the little pale girl. I think is what they call her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I think that's it. Like no non spoiler. My overall thoughts. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's a good entry in the franchise, and yeah, I really can't complain a lot, honestly.
Yeah. So for me personally, I did enjoy it also, and yeah, I agree. It was fun. It was a fun experience. Yeah, like I said, I saw it with friends, and I was definitely laughing at some parts. There was, I would say that the comedy in this one, there's more comedy in it compared to the first two, right? And I think it gets progressively more comedic. So the first one had some humor in it to it, had some humor in it, and the second one had more, than this one, ups it also, and so it just makes it more. Yeah, I agree. You said it. You said it pretty well yourself. It just overall, it's fun, right? And it's, I know it's not really descriptive of a movie, but it is, especially one like this, because it is gory. But I would put it in that comedy horror genre, because it does up the gore compared to those, some of those other comedy horror movies. But the comedy in this one, they did step it up, and it was funny, and it all comes from Art the Clown and his, like you were touching on earlier. I had the same thought, right? It's just these movies in general. He has that Charlie Chaplin like silent humor, right? You kind of think back to the black and white, the note before the talkie movies, right? And the
Yeah.
black and white, when everything was just silent film, and they all had to act just all through emotion and expression, facial expressions, and that's what he does well. This is David Thornton. Thornton. I want to make sure I say his name right. David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown. Excellent job, and he even more so. I think he kind of one ups himself in this one, and a lot of his expressions are kind of on point, and they just made me laugh. And yeah, there's a scene in particular that I really enjoyed. It really was really funny, and some people were actually laughing in the theater. So again, it just shows that it's a good time. It's entertaining, but yes, there is a lot of gore to kind of counteract that. Very violent, disturbing, like Alex said, is disturbing, gory movie. And so there's I would say the gore is more extreme than the comedy. I don't, would you say that?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. But
the comedy.
it's so weird because like on the second one,
Mhm.
remember that really intense scene with the girl when
The bedroom
he
scene.
drops clothes. Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
really messed up. Like that was
Yeah.
that was
It was.
way
Yeah.
too much. Like, that I was like, and it was long. It was very
Mhm.
long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember that they tried to lighting things up a bit at the end when the mom walks in and
Mhm.
he just stares at her and starts laughing.
Mhm.
And it was like it didn't hit right just because
Mm.
it was too intense. Like
Oh, I see.
it was too much.
Yeah.
And I appreciate how he acted, but the
Mhm.
scene was so it was like for me like that was the most intense scene in the whole franchise.
Yeah.
But here, like it balances things out more. And I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's still gory as hell, but I don't think there's not a scene that compares to that one.
Yeah. For sure. I agree.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst, including this one, Terrifier 3. I think that was, yeah, probably like the most hardcore, gory,
It
intense,
felt
disturbing scene was
real.
in
It
Yeah,
felt
Terrifier 2.
real
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and and there's a thin line like between like looking at something realistic and looking
Mhm.
at something that, you know, like it was disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I like these movies, not the gore itself. I mean, again, we all know that, you know, it's all makeup, right? They makeup
Yeah.
prosthetics. That kind of goes without saying, but um, how it makes you feel is why what I enjoy the movie. You know, along with just the horror aspect, because you know I've mentioned before in other streams and videos that I kind of relate it to. It's kind of similar to those who like roller coasters, right? The thrill seekers. They just kind of enjoy that feeling. I mean, yeah, you get scared, but it's just that feeling, that sense of it's, you know, you get on knowing that there's going to be a thrill, there's kind of some fear, but there's also a sense of security on there. And so there's that, but it's similar to watching horror movies in general. And this one, it is slightly different in that, so you have the gore, the violence, but the comedy, it kind of has, there's just a weird contrast when I'm watching it, right? It's like, you don't, am I supposed to feel bad or am I supposed to laugh? And they have that, it kind of juggles between the two in the same scene. It's crazy. And it just, you know, has as something as Art is kind of murdering somebody, he's also making these funny expressions and emotions. And so the way he reacts, and it's kind of, I actually like that because there's not a lot of movies that do that. I'm trying to think, I don't even know if there's any other one outside of this that does that well. You know, again, I mentioned the comedy horror, but that leans more on the comedy than the horror aspect or the gore and the violence. This one, like we mentioned, does more on the violence and the gore, and the comedy is more of secondary, but still it's yeah, it's just interesting. It just there's no other movie that I can think of that makes me feel that way, where it's just kind of like that contrast, that immediate contrast in between. It's like, you know, you can feel kind of disturbed, and the next second you kind of feel a sense of like, you want to laugh, you know, like something's funny. So I don't know, anything to add on that?
No, I just think like the difference, I think like the reason why the second one for me was more,
Mm-hmm.
well, that scene in particular, was
Mm-hmm.
thinking like most of the deaths that you see in these movies are from characters, like secondary characters you don't
Yeah.
really care about. You don't spend time with them. It's just like they
Yeah.
have this 2 minutes screen time and he kills them. But with this particular character in that bedroom scene, like you get to see her a lot more. And I think that makes it a little more intense. I think that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons, like when you're familiar with the character, just to spend some more time, it's like, oh, wow, okay. But I don't know what the rest of the characters like. I know we're not talking spoilers yet, but there's this annoying character in the third one that is
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you got what you just what
Right, I see what you're
you
saying. Yeah,
deserved.
I know
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like I don't care about you. You deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but all in all, I did like this movie. I know we kind of went up on a tangent there, but I did like this movie. I will say the second is still my favorite, though. More for, I don't know. I've just felt the writing overall in that one was, it was kind of more streamlined. There was more, it was more on track. Where this one, the writing and the story in this third one kind of felt a little like there were some points where it seemed like it got distracted, or it kind of, you know, it just, Art was kind of killing for the sake of killing. I know he's obviously a killer, but I don't know. It just seemed like in the second one, I'm trying to think of this, I feel like there was more of a purpose. And on this one, it was kind of more, yeah, I don't know. I just felt the story, but again, I guess that goes back to, like we were mentioning before, that there was some scenes cut out, and it kind of just seems like there was those gaps. Maybe kind of seemed like it was a little more disjointed in the story, where instead of was more streamlined. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that part?
You know what? Like I never really got into the story in any of the three movies.
Okay.
Like for me, it's like Fast and the Furious. Like you go and watch them
Oh,
for
I
the
see.
cars.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly like for me, like I think I mentioned this a few minutes ago. For me, like that part of developing the characters and this whole thing about Sienna and all that stuff, like it's not interesting to me, and it feels like
I see.
someone got high and just like didn't know what they were doing. Like
I see.
it feels like that to me.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
gotcha.
really it's too much. Like you're already watching a really intense movie, and adding that for me is like, do we really need it? I don't know, but I think some people like it
Yeah.
and it's cool. But for me, it's like I never watched this type of movies in particular, like
Mhm.
slashers or like
I gotcha.
gory films, because of having a great story. It's more like, oh, am I gonna get disturbed? I'm gonna get scared. More
Mhm.
like that, more like that. And but I agree with you. I think the second one had a better and more developed story. It was more concise and more
Mhm.
contained. What it was trying to say, this one does feel a bit like, what? Where were you
Yeah.
going with this?
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. 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 So you have it. Ranking second, Terrifier 2, Terrifier 3, and Terrifier 1 would be my ranking. How about you, Alex, on the 3? How would you rank your 3?
3, 2, and 1.
3, 2, and 1. Okay, just reverse
Yeah.
order. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
I
All
love
right,
the
folks.
kid. Like I love the kid. I love the kid in the second one.
Oh, Jonathan, you
No, no,
mean?
no. The girl, the art the
Oh, the little
clown
pale girl?
girl. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that thing.
I gotcha. Yeah, that was definitely added some comedic factor in there. And then again, kind of speaking of kids, right? They got I forgot to see how old she was when they filmed that movie, but yeah, definitely a child in that one.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna go into spoiler territory here. Just again, warning, spoilers. That was the end of our non-spoiler discussion. We're gonna go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie, I suggest go check it out and then come back. Bookmark this, save it to a playlist, or just save it and then come back and watch this and let us know your thoughts. Or if you don't care and you just want to keep hearing our thoughts and discussion on this, then let it play. Let it play.